Hey, fifth graders, this is Mr. Headington. I am bringing you the second week of our anonymous question box questions. So these are questions that were brought up since the last week's lesson on kind of the basics about body changes and stuff about puberty. So here we go, going right into first question. Number one is there a difference between pimples and acne, or are they the same? Well, acne is kind of the word that describes all of the skin kind of related things with related to puberty. So the oily skin, because the oil glands start producing more oils, a little more sweating, those kind of things. And particularly on the face and maybe your upper back, upper parts of your body, you might start noticing pimples, which are the kind of, they hurt a little bit, they're a little red, or bumps on your skin that have that. There's also something called blackheads, which are like a clogged pore in your skin. And if you saw the video last week from Brain Pop explaining about acne, that would have explained it. So acne is just kind of a side effect of the whole thing about puberty, and can happen to most kids, and some kids get it a lot worse than others. I was a kid who had some kind of not such great acne. I had trouble with it as a high schooler, and so my mom sent me to the dermatologist, and the dermatologist had some special treatments for my skin and some medicines they gave me, including like a topical cream that we put on your skin. And they also gave me like a pill to take to kind of minimize the bacteria that might be causing those pimples. So yes, pimples and acne are they're kind of the same thing. It's just that acne is the overall word that describes all the trouble with the skin, and then pimples are just a part of that. So some kids kind of go the other way, and they have particularly dry skin. So if you've experienced stuff about eczema, where there's kind of flaky dry skin, that might be kind of the another thing that could happen to some kids during puberty. But I tend to have the oily skin still, even as a 50-year-old man. So next question: why does your body produce more oil, causing pimples and zits during puberty? Well, hormones, if you read about that last week or saw about it, hormones in your body start increasing, especially during your puberty years. And so because of that, it starts producing more sweat, particularly sweat that smells bad. So that's underarm sweat, private parts, those kind of things. And then the oils from your skin. So like, again, some kids do have a lot more trouble with the oily skin. Some don't. Sometimes that affects your hair as well. So if you have oily skin, you might have oily hair as well. So make sure you're cleaning. And for acne, in any of those cases, washing your face with soap and water, maybe more than just your shower once a day, would be helpful to minimize it. Next question, why do you get more BO during puberty? Well, it's not necessarily you get more BO. You do from being a kid. I mean, as a kid, you don't have much body odor, but you can still have some. But as you get into your puberty years and on into your adulthood, you will continue dealing with body odor. Even for me as a 50-year-old man teaching phy ed or working out in the yard or going for exercise, those kind of things, when I sweat, I stink too. So I just know that I have to take a shower and change clothes more often, especially your socks, underwear, shirts, like my t-shirts and stuff get kind of sweaty and stinky. Even after I wash them, they can start smelling bad. So sometimes it's time to get rid of those old shirts, even though they might be your favorites. The next question, why aren't some, like, kids kind of notice that they're growing maybe differently than other kids? So the question kind of has to do with, like, I'm not growing, and well, everyone else in my class is. That is perfectly normal at your age. I mean, fourth, fifth grade, especially fifth grade, you do start noticing a big difference in some kids over others. Do not think of that as like something's wrong with you. It's just you're normal. If you go to your doctor and they do the whole like weigh and measure you from when you're a little kid, they kind of put you on that chart. They show you what your percentile is. And just because you're 99th percentile in something, I mean, yeah, you're bigger than some of the other kids, doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. Best example I can give you, one of my friends from growing up was kind of one of our smaller kids in our grade. Every year was the smallest kid. And even on into high school. And once he got out of high school, he kind of had his growth spurt. He's normal size like the rest of us. So yeah, if you're feeling like you're just not growing yet, you will. And really, if you want to know how much you're going to grow or when you're going to grow, talk to your parents. And when those kind of things happen to them, might be the same thing for you. Right now, my son is in 8th grade, and that's when I finished growing. It was when I was 15 years old and in 8th grade. And he's almost 15. He's in 8th grade. Likely he will be done growing. And hopefully he might be an inch or two taller than me when he's done, but he's not quite as tall as me yet. Next one, what pain do you go through? Well, Or do you go through any pain during puberty? I can only speak for being a male that, aches and pains that might happen might be joint related or muscle related. I noticed more fatigue, like I was really tired. I take naps in the middle of the day sometimes when I could. I slept longer on the days that I didn't have to get up for school, kind of thing. I did have a paper out early in the morning, so a lot of mornings I got up early, did my paper out, and then I came home and I go back to bed again. So tired. There might be some cramps and muscles and so on here and there. It's not necessarily that it's specifically to puberty. It might just be about your body growing, how much exercise you're getting, how much work you're doing. If you're a physically fit kid and you're pretty athletic and doing a lot of athletic sports and so on, you might start noticing some aches and pains because of it. So I did have a trouble with my knee when I was a teenager, and I can't say it was related exactly to puberty, but it wasn't necessarily a pain. It was a bump that was growing on my knee that the doctors felt like that wasn't supposed to be there, so I had to have surgery to fix it. And it just so happened, if you remember the video I showed last week about your bones and growing and the whole thing about ossification, well, the part that on my knee, or just above my knee and my leg, that had the ossification spot there, it was starting to close up, and then the bones still tried to grow. So instead of growing longer, it just grew out to the side, creating a bump. And that was something that they were easy to fix. And so I was on crutches for like a couple of days, and then I was back to normal, relatively in a few weeks. So that's my questions for this week. Hopefully you found them interesting, and keep on sending them my way. We've got about 3 more weeks of our unit. And some important things to tell you about. So we will get to that point, and you may have more questions. Please feel free to use the anonymous question box button anytime you want. Have a great week.